Bonjour! Bonjour!
No.
Time for bladder check. Check.
So it's a show?
It's a lifestyle.
It's a religion.
My emotions! My emotions!
I'm still French.
Ouais, c'est pas faux.
I'm a woman, Mary. I can be as contrary as I choose.
Non, moi je crois qu'il faut que vous arrêtiez d'essayer de dire des trucs.
Hello, hi, I'm Laura. I'm gonna watch Euphoria. I don't know how to name that episode, you know, if it's the episode 9 of the season 1 or the special episode of the show, like we can't put it somewhere, or is it a between seasons episode? Maybe it's more something like that? I don't know. I didn't watch it, and because of the fact that I've been watching the show since 2 weeks now, and the show is out since a long time, I'm not making any researches about it, anything, you know, to avoid spoilers, so I don't know what I'm gonna discover right now with this special episode. Today I watched the 2 last episodes of the season 1. If you want to see my reaction videos about that, I'm gonna put the links into the eye. I'm singing it now, you know, because also I'm really tired, because also the last episode of the season 1, the episode 8 that I just watched, like I finished it just 10 minutes ago, left me so tired, so exhausted. I'm feeling sad, depressed, hopeless. That's really the spirit of the episode 8. If it's not for Kat, who was the only one who maybe had something good during the last episode, all of the rest, all of what happened left me sad and hopeless. I'm saying that, but at the same time I had some hope, and I have still some hope for the future that good things can happen, but at the same time I have the impression that it's the positive person that I am who is trying to to see the good that can happen in 2 seasons. Like I'm not even wishing for it to happen during season 2. I'm not sure that it can. This show is a dark one, it's such a good one. You just have to watch my reaction videos about the 4 first episodes to understand how much I love how the show is written but also done. Pictures, musics, movements of camera. I'm in love with them, and I spent 10 minutes in intro and 10 minutes in review to just talk about the movements of the camera. That's how much I love this show, how it's done, really. Maybe even more than how it's written, and it's already, you know, well written, so that's how much I love how the show is done. But I know also that this is a dark show, this is not a shiny one, you know, I'm not leaving it in a good mood, like, oh, that was so great, I'm so excited, and oh, no. I'm leaving it each time like, I'm exhausted, that was great, beautiful, but that was painful. The characters, what is happening to them. You know, this is a show about society subjects, about our societies, about what can go wrong in our teenagers' lives right now, all of what they are confronted to. You know, it's not just drugs and things like that that you can find in other shows, like to have a character who is pregnant, who is forced to not keep the baby, to have someone who is on drugs, to have someone who has mental issues, and all. We can have that in other teenager shows, but this one is really dark. I think for me it's more close to what Skin was the first generation when it was out than what 13 Reasons Why was when it was out. Skins, I'm more someone, you know, from the Skins generation. When it was out, the first generation, it shocked people, you know. I mean people. Adieu. It shocked them because they were like, no, teenagers are not living that. That's so bad, so hard. It's gonna give a bad example to kids and all. And after that, they get it, you know. They get the fact that a show like that is important to also show to the adults what their kids are confronted with, to show the real stuff that teenagers can deal with in real life that this is real, this is not forced at all. And I think that Euphoria is doing the same job for this generation of teenagers, you know, that we have right now, and adults like me, you know, I'm considering as an adult, who is watching it, who is maybe between, I was gonna say between teenagers and adult. No, I'm an adult. My age, I'm an adult. But I'm not a parent, you know? So maybe that's why I'm considering myself between. I knew that these subjects were gonna be explored during the show because I know that teenagers are confronted to this stuff right now in our societies. But maybe because I'm more an adult, it's painful for me to watch, and it's really difficult because I knew it, but that much, that's painful. And also just what they are making with this, you know, with these society subjects, they are really pushing it to the limits, so it's for sure hard to watch. I'm not gonna talk about each characters, you know, I made that review just some minutes ago about what happened at the end of the episode 8. I was sad for Rue and Jules' relationship, you know, ending like that, but at the same time, I said it, I found beautiful that moment because the picture was beautiful, but also because the symbolic of it was beautiful. The fact that it's Rue who is deciding to stay, who is not trying to escape, you know, from her life, who is stopping the relationship when they spent almost the entire season saying that it was gonna be Jules who was gonna leave. The fact that she's doing it for not hurting again her mom and her sister. The fact that Jules is leaving because she needs to leave also, she's feeling it, she's not safe into that town with Nate blackmailing and haunting her, and she's happier and safer into her own town with friends who love her and with a new girlfriend also. But she truly loves Rue, so that's why it was difficult, because we can see the love that these two had for each other, but the fact that they can't be together right now because they are not on the same page about life but also about their relationship, it was painful. And of course Rue took drugs again after that. I don't think that this is a failure and that's it, she's gonna go back to drugs like before and all. No, we saw her during all of this season 1 trying to get better and succeeding to that. I have a little hope for that. But again, I don't know if it's not the optimist me who is speaking right now. Cassie was so brave during the last episode. She didn't keep the baby and also McKay into her life. I hope that she's gonna be alright, that her family is gonna continue to support her, and that she's not gonna go in another relationship just like that, like she's gonna take time for herself. Kat, that was sweet, that moment with Ethan, but I have the impression that yes, the season 1 was her going up, 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 up like that with confidence in herself and all, and we're gonna see her go down, 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 down like that because of her Pornhub account, you know, because of bad stuff happening because of that. And of course we have Maddie and Nate. Do I need to tell again how much I hate Nate for everything that he did during the first season? Okay, bad background, okay, a lot of pressure on his shoulders and all. Okay, his dad doing that and him discovering it so young, okay. Reasons, not excuses, can explain, not justify, and still during the season, he did all of that for himself, to protect himself. He didn't show any regrets, any remorse, and he did that all by himself, for himself, destroying someone, his face but also his life, manipulating people by saying that he cares about them but in fact is blackmailing them and is violent physically and with words with them. But I don't want him to die or to be killed or something like that. I want him to be punished, to be arrested, you know, to be stopped. Someone has to stop him. He can't change just by himself. I have this impression now. After the last episode, you know, when we saw him being into that anger, that fight with his dad, that was so rough, but it really gave me the sensation that he can't stop by himself. He needs to be stopped. So after that, he can get some medical help because he has mental issues, big ones. He needs medical help. He needs time to have medical help. So maybe he's gonna want to change. Maybe he's gonna regret what he did, and maybe he can go on a redemption path and he can have a second chance. I believe in redemption. I believe in second chance. I want that also for him, you know. But right now, he's not there yet, and I'm just hating him, and everything that he's doing is a psychopath. That's a mental issue. He needs to have medical help. And Maddie, she knows that. She knows everything about that. About him, who is Nate, truly, and also about their relationship, how bad it is, truly. But she's trapped. And that moment, you know, that dance that they had together with her telling how bad their relationship is, it was her saying to Nate, you need to stop that relationship yourself because I can't. And him, he just answered, I know. He needs her, you know, to make him feel better, you know, to make him feel like he's the man and all. He needs her for that. He's not gonna do it, so she's gonna stay trapped with him. But at the same time, we know that she has that video, the one that his father made with Jules. I think that she can't do anything wrong to Jules with it, so maybe more to Nate's dad or Nate himself. Can it be possible? Maybe again I'm too optimistic. See, I'm into that position, I'm speaking with my deep voice and all. Like, you can see that I'm not feeling so good after the final episode of the season 1. You can see that I'm not excited and in a happy mood and happy thing and all. No. I'm sad, depressed and hopeless. And I didn't even talk about Fez. What he did. Oh, I think that I forgot to talk about it during the review of the last episode. Yes, Fez. I had conflicted feelings about him during all of the season 1 because he's a drug dealer, he's selling drugs to teenagers, and that's so wrong. But at the same time, he truly cares about Rue. He was nice and kind with her, he was a good friend to her, and he seemed like a nice person, so I was like, I like him. I know I shouldn't, but I like him. But what he did at the end of the last episode, even if, you know, we know that it was to have money to pay back the guy and all, but he didn't just steal money from a guy with a gun and to the guy who is selling all of these drugs, you know, so he didn't do that. He destroyed the face of that guy in front of his kid. I can't like and or forgive that, you know, I can't. Of course I'm gonna blame him for that. Of course I'm gonna say that this is so wrong, that Fez, what did you do right there? It's not just a disappointment, you know, for me what he did. It's a reveal, you know, almost like not just a simple drug dealer, you know. You're also violent like that. You can also do stuff like that. So wrong. So wrong. We'll see again if he's showing regrets, if he's gonna be punished for that, if something is gonna happen because of that. I need to stop this intro because soon we're not gonna have any more natural light, and we're gonna be forced to finish the episode and the review with yellow light. I'm gonna stop right now this intro. Let's go for this special episode, and I'm gonna discover what it's gonna be about with you, you know. Jules? Yes? You're back together? Is it true? I mean, you're not imagining that. you're still with each other even if Jules left for hometown. And that was their dream, no? Jules leaving to go into an art school. Yes, I just said it. Tell me that this is true. I have a bad feeling. Rue. ZOD. Was it true or not? Are they playing with time or with reality?
Making balance. I'm like happy and healthy and not like looking to anybody else for that happiness. Making plans for the rest of our life and shit.
Who are you trying to fool with your bullshit? It's not gonna work on us or on him.
Sane are making sane decisions.
You're high.
Yes.
That's your issues, and you're going to be struggling with those issues for the rest of your life. That's a fact. The problem is that you look at sobriety as a weakness. Sobriety is your greatest weapon.
To tell you the truth, drugs are probably the only reason I killed myself.
It's not true.
Now we're talking. Now you're being real. Now you're being honest.
Yeah, whatever, man.
No!
Whatever, man. Whatever, man. You're 17. You don't know shit. You think you're hard.
Not the good argument, but...
Because you know how to live life. You don't bullshit everybody into thinking you're hard. You don't give a fuck. In reality, you give so much fuck. You want to use, but the least you can do is be honest on that shit.
All the things I remember my life is which I didn't.
Okay? Again, you want to get clean.
No.
You sure?
Oh.
Yeah. I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. Now, here's the silver lining. You're not a drug addict because you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit because you're a drug addict. You follow? And it isn't a question of willpower. It's not about how strong you are. You've been fighting a losing game since the first day you got high. So you can destroy your life.
It hurts to say it, so obviously.
That is the disease of addiction. It is a degenerative disease. But the hardest part of having the disease of addiction, aside from having the disease, is that no one in the world sees it as a disease. They see you as weak. They see you as cruel.
As
They see you
sick.
as destructive. If she wants to kill herself, let her.
No!
But luckily, you aren't the only person on planet Earth who has this disease. That is why we're eating pancakes on Christmas Eve.
Christmas.
Despite the fact that you don't want to get clean.
Your daughter's right.
Mm-hmm.
You do?
How do you relapse after 12 years?
You forget how bad it is. A year and a half.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, fuck, yeah, right. You're back in that cycle.
You
It's
know.
confusing.
Oh.
It's inescapable. Especially if you've been clean for 12 years. That's,
Wait, Martin?
yeah. Martin's me.
What? Right now.
One of my first black friends. I was actually from the Middle East. I'm from South Philly.
All of this episode is gonna be about you.
Came to believe.
I like that.
You don't believe there's a power on Earth greater than root.
That's not true. I think there's tons of shit that is of greater power than me.
Name one.
The ocean.
Try again.
Shit, I would say any song by Otis Redding. Ali, I don't believe in God.
Guess what? God doesn't give a fuck if you believe in him. He believes in you.
So you're saying the reason my dad died is because God didn't believe in him?
That's not right.
You know, because every time someone survives like a mass shooting or some terrible fucking earthquake, they always say, you know, I survived for a reason.
What about the ones who died?
And I think what you're saying is that your life is more important than that 6-year-old who died that day, or the newborn who died that day, or anybody fucking else who died that day. Because I could argue that my dad's purpose was to raise me and my sister. He's dead.
Listen,
Ali, if you're about to tell me that you died for a reason, I will literally walk the fuck out.
I will.
He didn't die to teach us a lesson. He died because he died. That's it. The same stupid reason I came out of the room with a couple wires crossed.
That conversation, you know, between the two of them, without any break, without any music, it's real. And it's powerful
I don't
because
know
of
the
that.
answers. And I'm not going to pretend to. The whole chain reaction of how things come to be from beginning to end. It's a mystery and will always remain a mystery.
This episode is gonna be only about this conversation.
Drugs that were given to your ancestors to keep them inebriated, inoculated, enslaved. Drugs that stripped them of their ability to not just be free. So what now?
No.
That's a question.
There's so many revolutions that everybody's a revolutionary. The rich, the poor, the right, the left, the young, the old. Is it beautiful?
Your voice is beautiful.
It's like one revolutionary. I see in 20-foot letters these words, "Our people matter." And I thought, man, this feels good.
But that's publicity, you know?
And I pick up a pair of these sneakers and I look at the price tag and it says $139.99. I thought Nike loved me, appreciated me in my life. What happened here? Fuck you, Nike. You don't give a fuck about anything or anyone. Chinese Muslims are selling these Kaepernick sneakers for 7 cents an hour.
I love the fact that they are talking about Uyghurs.
It is a complete decimation of one's priorities, beliefs, and way of living. You have to create a new God, or gods, or whatever you can, but it is imperative.
Are you sure that revolution is the word for that?
You've got to believe in poetry. Because everything else in your life will fail you, including yourself. You're sick. Your whole system's on the verge of collapse. Your only hope is a revolution. A real fucking revolution, inside and out. You can't half-ass this shit. You just have to commit to it every single day. Because who knows, one day you might succeed. Stranger things have happened.
I love this episode. I know that this is just a conversation, but it's such an interesting one. And even if we don't have a lot of what the show used to do, you know, with the aesthetic of it and all, still that movement of camera was great. Still, the picture was great. Not the music, because we don't have any music, but sometimes silence is more powerful than music. Je miss you. Nah, we're still gonna have some music.